Everyone loves flying in nice weather, but how about when the day looks like this? Air travel does not stop when the weather deteriorates. Passengers, packages, and mail still must make it to their destinations. Today we look at a key part of the aerospace system that keeps the aviation world going in all weather, day and night, the Instrument Landing System, or ILS. Join us today on Flight Brothers FT, We Shoot Approaches. For today, we're going to focus on the ILS 7 right at Sky Harbor. We'll need the frequency and the final course, circled in red here, and the two waypoints where we'll begin our approaches. And then the block there again with the frequency on it. Now as we join this shot, I want you to look at the nav1 there on top of the right column. You're going to see the needle deflecting there. That's our center line. So we're flying from left to right within the pattern. So if we stop and take a look, far off the extended wingtip there, you can see our runways and Sky Harbor Airport right where the mouse is pointing. So this is roughly the extended center line of the runway 7 right. And we're 8 miles out according to our DME. We'll continue the flight. As we pass through center line, you'll see the needle deviate to the left-hand side. And now it's almost full scale. So we're going to reverse and fly back through the pattern. This would be from south to north as the runway faces roughly east and west. I'll fast forward through here, but we're going to do one more trip through the centerline pattern of the localizer, just again to see the needle deflection. We'll see it go from right to left. And we roll wings level here. In just a moment, we'll take a look and we'll see roughly where we are again. We should be on the right side of the runway centerline from this angle. If we take a look over the top of the aircraft, we can see there's the airport here, and we are definitely way off to the right, which would be the south side looking in. We'll continue indicator, and we'll be looking for that needle to swing from, this time, right to left. And here it begins the sweep. Move towards center line. And we can see here where we're positioned nearing center line at this time of runway 7 right. Here we're passing it and moving to the left-hand side. And here again we are approaching the center line. I've zoomed in so that you can see the nav1 OBS indicator. we're flying in from the left side, gathering the center line up. And judging from our glide path indicator, we are below. So we would fly to the line, which in this case is the horizontal. That's your glide slope. Again, slowly approaching the center line, getting ever closer. We know our final course is going to be approximately 078, which is where I have the heading bug set, excuse me, on the horizontal gyro. And here we're on center line, but we do have a little bit of wind this morning. And now we see the glide path indicator coming in. We're going to maintain a roughly level altitude to intercept the glide slope. Most of my pattern work here, if you hadn't noticed, was about 3,000 feet when I flew the localizer as well. And now we're going to set up for a slight descent there as we try and capture the glide slope. And if everything is ideal, then we would be seeing pretty much what we're seeing right now, where we'd have our lateral and our vertical guidance would be on it. You can see we have a sink rate now of about 500 feet a minute. And we're a little over 6 miles out according to our DME there, just to the right, just slightly out of view above the transponder. The glide slope's getting away from us a little bit, but I'm going to chase it down. And there's going to be several oscillations here, left and right, and up and down. This is a rather long approach because we are in a Cessna doing about 70 knots. So we'll speed up a little closer to the end and see how it looks. And here we are about 20 seconds later, and we're still on glide path on center line, descending almost to 2,000 feet. Continuing our approach in, everything looking pretty good. Drifting just to a little right of center, so we're going to make a slight correction to the left, and the glide slope starting to drop away from us. And I am intentionally keeping the field out of view here. It's this was as much for me to practice a solid IFR approach as it was to produce this video. So it's not the best. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of needle chasing that was going on. I was very out of practice with this, but it did enable me to do a little bit more practice. And you'll see as we go through here with the other varying airframes. And we're approximately a minute from touchdown here, descending through 1,600. The field elevation here is, I believe, about 1150. And we are a little bit below glide path as we are nearly complete with this approach. Glide slope now coming in nicely. We do have that slight breeze blowing us from right to left as we're trying to chase that heading. Still descending, and we're pretty much on and on there with center line and glide path. We'll try and hold this. And you can see it's about a 350 foot per minute descent as we start to see the overrun there for the runway, or underrun in this case as it's below us, and the 7 right comes into view. Needle showing that we need to go below us, obviously, and at this point we'll wave it off and climb out and head around again. As we begin our second approach here, you can see we're 6.3 miles out. And what I've done now is I have the autopilot in nav mode, and I have us on an altitude hold. So we're set at slightly above 2,000 feet. And now the aircraft is actually using the localizer, and it's setting up for tracking the inbound course on it. So it'll move slightly here to the left, to capture it and then fly it straight. We won't descend on this one. I just wanted to show how you can use the nav function if you were unfamiliar with it. As I had mentioned, we are in an altitude hold, and we'll see now as we fly through the glide slopes, null, or basically it's 0. We'll see how we go from a fly up to a full fly down. And here we are at full needle deflection at this point. As we turn away from it, I just wanted to highlight here, you have the, they call it a flag. So if you don't have flag current sufficient RF energy coming from the ILS, you'll get the flag saying that the system is unusable. So if you see that, don't trust it. And here we are in the Robin. I just wanted to show this aircraft. Again, it's another light general aviation aircraft, but I wanted to show it because of the G1000. And some of the indications are, if you're familiar with them, largely similar, however slightly different. On the bottom we have our sectioned green line there for our, of course, CDI or down there. So this is showing that our localizer center line is to our left. So we actually flew through the center line, and I'm coming up now from the south back again to runway 7 right. Next to our altitude, we'll see that we have the G, this area right here, and then our altitude, or our glide path is the green indication within that tape. So I disconnect the autopilot and then try and roll wings level here. We'll reduce power. As we can see again, that glide path is below us. We'll get the first notch of flaps out, and we'll continue it's going to be a rather aggressive heading change here as we roll toward the center line. And here we can see the center line moving right now. We'll try and make our turn here to capture that, stay ahead of it as we approach 7 right again. And this is just to show the difference in how the G1000 presents the same information as the steam gauge, if you will, Cessna 172. This aircraft, I'll actually include a link in the description below. It is free and available at the xplane.org store. It's a pretty nice flyer and has a slightly better, on average, ground speed than the 172 does. And we've captured glide path now. As we can see, the green indicator there on our glide slope is right on our center, and we are just slightly left of center line. We'll continue the approach in slightly here. We can see now we're below glide path. So we'll add some power to try and level it off as our speed's also decreasing. Not an ideal approach, but again, showcasing this aircraft was more of a way just to show off the G1000 and its ILS indications and how they are slightly different. And now probably for what most of you have come to see, we're hopping in the Zibo 737-800 here, done up today in Philippine Airlines livery. And we'll prepare it for a departure from runway 7 left, returning back to runway 7 right. Now before any of you jump on and I guess bombing me in the comments section, I did not initialize, I do not have VREFs. I didn't set up a lot of the FMC information. Again, this was for the ILS being the main purpose. If you'll see, there's no V-speeds calculated. We're gonna go ahead and depart here. We'll do a quick climb out, throw the autopilot on heading mode, which is why the auto throttle's turned off now. I didn't have any data in the FMC to load it. So We're just going to fly it in heading mode, capture at about 5,000 feet, and fly out to about 14 miles, and then begin our approach. Here as we rotate, we'll make probably a turn here to the north.
400.
At 400 feet, we'll start to engage the roll mode here. 1,000 will bring up flaps. And we'll begin our turn to the north. So what I've done now is I've gone ahead and brought us really into instrument meteorological conditions, brought a low cloud layer in, and we are level at 5,000 feet, and we're about 17 miles out now. We're going to continue flying out for just a moment, then we'll start making our turn back to the east, where we'll start lining up with our ILS approach. As we near the center line, what we're going to select is the VOR LOC, as you can see on the, I guess the mode enunciator panel there above the primary flight display in the middle. Can't remember the name right now, but you can see we have VOR LOC selected, and that is going to engage our LNAV into the localizer capture. So now it'll hold the center line for us. And then we're going to maintain this. You can see we're currently in we're in an altitude hold mode. As we run through a couple of arrival items here. Let the cabin crew know we're ready to land. So as we look on the right side there of our PFD, we can see that magenta diamond starting to roll down. As it crosses through the center, we're going to go ahead and select the approach mode. And then the aircraft will capture both the horizontal and the vertical guidance. As you see, it's done now. And we get a single channel enunciator there on the PFD. This is a Category 1 ILS here on this runway, as all of them are at Phoenix Sky Harbor. So they are not capable of auto land. The systems are maintained to different tolerances. The airfield markings and lighting are not to a Category 2 or 3 standard. So they are not able to be a auto land. And again, the aircraft would require an auto land capability as well, due to autopilot, requiring autopilot system redundancies. 737, of course, is capable of that, but I just wanted to throw that in as an aside. So we're capturing here and we're starting to descend again, reducing our speed ever so slightly, and go ahead and kicking out the flaps. And we'll zoom in here so you can have a better look. Again, our magenta diamonds are on center line and on glide path. You see there's our localizer as our radar altimeter comes in. We are 8 miles out on the IAHA. ILS, which is the one we wanted. Everything's looking pretty good so far. I guess since I spent a significant amount of time on the Cessnas and the Robin there, I'll let you guys ride with me. There's our gear horn. We'll go ahead and stick the gear out as we descend through 2,000 feet AGL. Get some more flaps out and continue bringing our speed down. I do not have a VREF, so I'm going to bring it in around 140 to 150 miles an hour. Should be pretty good at our current weight. Got quite a bit of fuel in the wing tanks, none in the center tank. We can see there, the mode control panel is in speed mode. VOR loc and glide slope is all active as we descend at about 800 feet per minute. Through 1,200 feet AGL. Everything's looking good, speed's coming down. Get the final notch of flaps out there. We'll do a flaps 30 today. No need to go 35. Auto brake is set. Trim doing a lot of work right there as we pass through 1,000 feet. And this is one of the nice things about flying the more advanced aircraft with the more advanced autopilot.
07, right.
Is that, of course, as we break through the clouds, we are exactly where we want it to be. The runway is right in front of us. Our PAPI lights are out there with 2 white, 2 red, which is a visual indication that we are on glide path as well. And we're set up, we've just got to roll it in. If we disconnect the autopilot at this point, which we're going to try to do, and auto throttle, the aircraft should be very close to trim. And I'm afraid I have to apologize if this landing comes out a little out of sorts. I'm holding my 10-month-old currently with my left hand, and I'm trying to fly this with my right hand.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Hopefully it's something we can walk away from. I think that's all right. Oh, thrust, no, I guess I should probably steer, huh? Oh, we'll not worry about the thrust reversers, let the auto brakes do their job, and try to keep it on the paved stuff.
3,000 feet remaining.
All right, so that wasn't too bad. And again, as you roll in on your ILS, as long as you've got it tuned up properly to the correct frequency, you could use that VOR loc mode, and that's going to engage that lateral capture. It'll put you on center line. And then as you get closer, go to approach as the glide path comes through the vertical indication there, and fly it on down, or you can choose to do it manually. If I had 2 hands here that were free, I probably would have flown in about the last 3 miles just to complete the flight. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed that today. Hopefully I've been able to show you something, be it right or wrong, with the ILS, and hopefully you'll enjoy flying in different weather conditions now, as opposed to just clear skies and, well, sunny and clear skies. Thank you all for flying with us today on FBFT, and as always, plan the flight and fly the plan. We'll see you in the next video.